think we need to take a holistic view, but it also has to be short and long term. And the holistic view is a bit like the IFSC. So we're in my office here, and across the water I can see the IFSC. That was a holistic view that took a number of years to come to fruition. And it's a combination of things for me, which is, if we're going to get serious about this thing called a knowledge or a smart economy, then I think it's around making sure that our infrastructure is appropriate. And I don't just mean communications infrastructure. I think there have to be tax breaks and incentives to encourage people to move into those industries and or encourage inward investment in those industries. I think we have to look long and hard at our education, primary, secondary and tertiary education, to see, are we delivering maths, science and technology in a way that excites people, that they want to become involved in it, that we're generating the next generation of smart people who can compete with very smart people on a global basis, because I'd be really worried we're not doing that. And then I think we need to think of incentives, rewards, recognition, making heroes from people who are in those industries and lauding them for the achievements that they bring to this marketplace. So if you put all that together and make sure that we've got a short-term and a long-term generational plan, and we stick with it and we focus on it and we invest in it, we have a chance of coming through. I think the other thing we need to do is to think carefully about what areas of smart economy are we going to play in. Because as a small market and as a smaller country, I think we have to concentrate on a couple of things that perhaps we could excel in. So pharma is one, pharma industry. Maybe something around mobile communications or software development with specific emphasis, rather than trying to do everything, because we just don't have the scale, I think, to compete with the very large economies on that basis. But just the whole thing has to be looked at, I think, top to toe. The really important thing for me, though, is a real emphasis on continuity. Is starting now and not finishing until we've finished. We have to make a conscious decision that if we're going to be a smart economy, it has to apply to everything that we do. Of course there are human relationships that get in the way, but the things that go behind those relationships, the processes, the way in which we do business, the way in which we transact with each other, have to move into that world. Because there are other countries who'd probably be there already, or even regions of countries that are there already. And it really is about taking that holistic view. There is no point in us investing in physical communications infrastructure if those types of transactions aren't going to happen over them. So, for example, the Czech government have just introduced a scheme or a way of working in the Czech Republic that forces businesses to transact with them in an e-way, which is to drive the use of new technologies and online ways of working into that small economy very similar to ours. And I think that's the way we have to think. If I look at the way my children are educated, it's like going back to when I was at primary school. They spend their spare time, if they're not playing outside, looking on YouTube, doing social networking. They don't watch TV, they don't read in the same way we did. They absorb information from the world around them using the web. And when I sit down and look at them do their homework, it's a flat, boring paper book. And there's nothing wrong with books, but that is not getting them into the way of interacting and learning about subjects by using the web. So we're not connecting the pieces of the jigsaw sufficiently to truly get us to a place of being a smart economy. We need to make sure that we take a view as to first of all, what's right for the country. There are parts of the country where it's very difficult as an individual private investor to make a business case stack up to deliver very high-speed infrastructure. There is no doubt, but there has to be some form of government investment and intervention in that. And it isn't about the types of speeds we're seeing today, but if you're looking at economies such as South Korea or Singapore, you're talking of extremely high-speed broadband. But it is only a network that will enable other things to happen. You can put a network in place, and if we're not dealing with the other things that should happen over that, then that would be wasted investment. So I think there is an opportunity for government to look at what's right for the country, look at ways in which we can co-invest as a group of industries as opposed to it being necessarily one. But we're definitely behind the mark when I look at other smaller countries who are claiming to be, having an ambition to be part of a smarter economy. I keep seeing things where we're talking about a framework and we've got some valid points, good framework, right approach and ideas. But the challenge is always to take an ambition to a real plan which you can then implement. And for me, now is the time for us to take ambitions and frameworks and broad statements to actually grind down what they mean in terms of delivering a plan that you can actually execute. We need to look at how we fully cost some of these ideas and actually take them from statements of intent to reality. And the challenge will be that when we do that, there is a stark reality that this is going to cost money. So somebody somewhere, business people of course, but in government will have to make the hard decisions that this becomes a priority, that we put serious money behind and serious intent and serious action, and then we can make it happen. But if we just keep on having framework documents and broad plans, we'll still be in a year and 2 years, and actually we will not have made the significant and fast progress that we need to make. And I come back to the IFSC concept. That was a concept that a group of people fundamentally believed in, and they put the things in place that made it happen. But it had the meat on the bones of the idea. It didn't just have a statement of intent and ambition. Any company looking at making large-scale investment, and a company like ours will look at, is it going to get sufficient return on that investment? And that happens whether you're in a recession or not. You always make an assessment of, can you get the return for the capital that you're putting in? And if you can't get it in Ireland, where can you put it to gain a return? So an organisation like Telefonica have been excellent in giving me the funding to invest in the Irish market, but I'm always competing with 22, 23 other countries, some of whom are in Latin America that are growing very rapidly versus others who are struggling. So we have to make sure that the regulatory regime or the economic environment is such that it makes sense for us to put the capital in. And if we can't do it on our own, then I will always look to do that in partnership with others. It doesn't have to be one company that does this. It can be a group of companies. But I think in the end, it has to be part of a holistic plan, which is show me how, as a company, I can ultimately get a return on this investment. So am I comfortable that as a country we're going to head in the right direction, so I can convince my shareholders to give me the check?